Welcome back to your favorite channel. It's your boy PBK9s giving it to you the way I always do. Fair and unbiased, raw and uncut. Got some great dog talk for my brothers and sisters today. I'm in the building with All or Nothing. It's an All or Nothing kennel dog talk, PBK dog talk, day to day, man. Hope everybody, like I said, having a great day, doing the right things with these pets across the world, staying legal out there, staying safe out there, and just practicing responsibility. How is it going today, my brother? All or Nothing?
I'm good, man. It's glad to be back to have some good dog talk.
Yes, sir, man. Glad to have you back, brother. Glad to have you back. You know, got a few topics I want to touch on today, man, and hopefully they don't stir up too many feathers up in the dog community. Some of some of the stuff we're talking about. You know,
Yeah,
I want to
it
send a big.
probably.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say it probably will, but hey, that's what make good. That's what make good dog talk.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I want to send a shout out to everybody down in the chat, man, and everybody that's listening right about now. You know, one of the topics we're gonna talk about today, man, is the country dogs and the city dogs. You know, we're gonna speak about that. Um, we're gonna talk a little bit about breeding as well, and a few more things when it comes to the pit bull community. You know, but let's start with this city and country dog thing, man. We're gonna talk about the pros, the cons, uh, how do you see it? How do you view it? Your opinions on it? You know, and I'll give you mine as well. You know, let's start with
Well,
the city dogs.
well, I think one of the pros of raising dogs in the city, I think, is you deal a little less with parasites in the sense of down south, like in the country area and stuff. Probably gonna deal if the dogs live outside. You're gonna deal more like with them getting bit by mosquitoes, uh, flies. Like even if you take good care of them, there's a higher risk. Even if you keep the spot clean and you do everything you can, you run a higher risk of them getting bit by mosquitoes and flies and dealing with maybe like a snake biting them. Like you deal like with those type of things
Mm-hmm.
to a dog living out, if you got land and they live outside where it's a kennel run or a chain set up, opposed to like a dog that's raised in the city. In the city you ain't gonna see no snakes unless somebody got them as a pet.
Yeah.
That's one pro. I say a con is well, I say like going back to like when I say the city, me personally, I'm referring to Brooklyn. I say like a con would be like when you deal with a lot, man. Like you deal like a city dog, man. You got to get very creative. How you house them, how you keep them in shape, and one of the challenges is even taking them for a walk. The obstacles you have to face. Walking them. You might walk them. They might step on broken glass, a dirty needle. You're dealing with a lot of different things. You know what I mean? That could get in the way of you just taking your dog for a walk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely understand that, and I'm glad you said that when you were saying about Brooklyn because I wanted the people to know when we speaking about this particular conversation that we're talking about now. We're not necessarily talking about my city because I stay in the city and the country, but we talking about the city areas of the states and the country areas of the states. That's what we're
correct.
talking
Yeah.
about, right?
That's yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah.
And and when I say creative, like there's different. See, like if someone live in the projects, that's one thing. If someone you could live in a building in Brooklyn and it not be the projects because the projects in Brooklyn damn near like a village. You know what I mean? And then like so you could live in a building in Brooklyn, and that's another situation. Or you could live in a house in Brooklyn, but it's still not going to be like living in a house in the country. So your space is going to be very, very limited. But I say, as far as the space being limited, you don't have as many dogs. And with not having that many dogs, like you really build like a very, very strong bond with a dog. Like me growing up, like we seen like my personal experiences or seeing other experiences, we expected a lot from the dogs aside from like being a pit bull. They're gonna be what they are as far as being a, you know, with other dogs, but they would become like you would take them everywhere with you, so you'd create that bond. And then the event, in them days, like it was like the wild wild west, 80s and 90s. So your dog would also be like, would have your back if you had a problem. It would a lot of different, you build such a, I'll tell you this quick story. RIP to T-Bone. He was a dude, he had got killed, and he was walking his dog and they had shot him up, and he had his dog with him. The dog had left the body, ran to his house, got the attention of people that live in the building where he at,
Yeah,
and took them to his body, like on some Lassie shit.
yeah,
That
uh,
was, so that just to say, like, how when you have that, when you don't have as many dogs, you build a real bond with the dog.
hey, I definitely understand that. Now, just by you saying that, right? Let me ask you this, because you stayed in the country as well, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm speaking on the city living right now. Okay, let me ask you this. Now, just say I got 10 dogs and I'm in the country, and you got 10 dogs and you in the country. I mean, in the city. Okay, now say you keeping them in the house in your kennel crates. All right, now, in my opinion, you know you're gonna be able to show them 10 dogs more attention, or you not necessarily going to be able to, but on a daily basis, just off regular living, them 10 dogs probably get showed more attention in the city. I'm gonna say this, and it's my opinion, just looking from the outside looking in. Okay, it may get more attention than 10 dogs down south because I got 10 dogs on the chain. I'm gonna feed them all, but I'm not gonna walk them all. When you got them 10 dogs in the crate, you're gonna take them out, multiple times a day. You're gonna build a bigger bond with a larger amount of dogs than your average. I'm not talking about somebody with, you know, you know, basically like I'm saying, the 10 dogs down south, you may got two of them that you three of them that you really feel high on, or really, get making a bond with. But then you're not even really giving them no communication. The other seven, you just feeding them, pet them here and there. But when you got the 10 that's up north, you bringing them out, you taking them for a little walk. You know what I'm saying? You're doing a little bit more with them 10 dogs than I'm gonna do with the 10 dogs. And I'm not talking about anything past leaving the yard outside, like little walks and stuff like that. Not talking about going into an event or nothing. Just strictly day to day living and what you're gonna be doing with the dogs.
Well, it's definitely a lot more work on the person. I tell you that, because I never had more than four when I lived in the city,
Yeah.
but when I moved down south, I had between 15 to 20. So it's definitely a lot more work on the person with the dog, especially like, say if you live in a building and you walking up and down the stairs, or if you live in the projects and you on the, 23rd, 24th floor, you got to, most people gonna take the elevator. That's, what I mean. If you're gonna do it more than once too, it's a lot of work. And then,
Yeah.
like I say, you get creative. Some people would set up spots for the dogs on the roof. Some people would be able to set them up in the basement. Some people would set them up. It was just like I said, you get creative. The most popular thing I remember was people run in the city was running their dogs with a bicycle.
Do
For me, and didn't work. Go
in
ahead.
that
I'm
in
sorry.
that part of the city, have you seen like anybody with yards when they got them chained out, just like how they have them down south, without
Yeah,
going
but
into
not.
without going into the country parts of the city?
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wouldn't be many, and the chains wouldn't be as long. You may see dogs in the yard, but unless you go out to like Long Island, but if you're in the boroughs, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, um, or even Staten Island. Well, Staten Island might have a bigger yard, but one of like it may have a yard, but it ain't gonna be a big yard where you only gonna be able to, you might get away with like you might get away with as much as six, but it ain't gonna be the big yard.
Do the city like trip as much as or more or less than they do down south, far as the amount of dogs a person have? They know somebody got 20 dogs. Do they like to keep putting pressure on them,
Oh
or
yeah,
you know?
oh yeah. But now they do. But back then, when I was growing up, I didn't move to down south till I was an adult, like well in my 30s. So like for me, I'm talking about way back, like it was like the wild wild west.
Yeah,
Like it was wild. You could pretty much, I mean, do whatever. I mean, there was, bodies dropping. Like it really wasn't. So like dogs really wasn't like their main thing. Like you could pretty much do
yeah,
what you wanted to do. So as far as like how many dogs you kept, it all depended on, back then it kind of depended on like your schedule. Most of us really didn't have a 9 to 5. So it was a lot, you may kind of make your own schedule as far as when, so it's easier to walk the dogs and you know what I mean? But I remember the most popular was running a dog alongside a bicycle, but that didn't work out for me. I had one that it saw a squirrel, ran in front of the bike, and that's he ran in front of the bike and I went face down, forward.
yeah.
Bike flipped over, and so I stopped running him with a bicycle. But there was a guy that had a dog that he ran the dog alongside a bicycle from Flatbush to Coney Island, which is in a car probably like I say about 30 to 40 minutes, maybe a little more. So on a bicycle, you figure it gotta be, at least an hour. The dog ran for an hour alongside the bicycle to Coney Island, and they rolled him and then ran him back to Flatbush.
Damn, damn.
But it wasn't for no like it wasn't no sanctioned show. It's just
Yeah,
somebody saying they heard word of mouth like a dog in Coney Island. He a bad motherfucker. So word. So it was more like rep your block type. Through the dog
yeah.
type shit. But yeah, man, back then it was a lot of dogs. Like I didn't know how they were bred, or even if they were purebred. To be honest with you, but some of them looking back at it, they were some really good dogs.
No,
Like if you think about like what they did
yeah,
compared to everything that I learned later on as far as like diet and the proper way to condition some of these dogs that I remember growing up didn't have none of that. They might have got a decent dog food like back then. Eukanuba was the shit. They might have got that, but as far as other than that, we didn't know nothing about uh, vitamins and
yeah.
we'd just run them on a bike and walk them, and it was crazy, man. Like some of the shit that they used to do. I guess a lot of it has to do with the amount of time you put into it too.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's the one thing that's different for the South and the North, that's a pro on the South end?
A pro, keeping dogs in the South would be less work on the person, and the dog has more freedom. Like you keep a dog on a 8 to 10 foot long chain,
Yeah.
which I think is the best. I know, like, if there's any animal rights people listening, they'll probably think like it's cruel to keep a dog on a chain, but I personally believe that for a dog, that's the best way to house a dog. If you keep him outside, is a nice dog house. That is in this with shade, and if they got clean water, and you bury the chain where it can't get tangled up, or make it where it can't go around it, that's the best way to keep it because the dog's always moving.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think that's definitely a pro to down south. Is like if you got a little bit of land, you could set up the dogs to be outside where if you keep a dog in a crate, they're not gonna wanna, piss and shit in their crate. They're gonna try to hold it, which it ain't good, but sometimes that's people who got the that's what they do. But as far as like keeping them on a chain setup, a proper chain setup, they're gonna be they don't have to hold it, and they're constantly getting exercise. Because figure if a chain setup is 10 feet long, they're also running sideways and forward and back.
Yeah, right about that now. Now, what do you think is the biggest false narrative or biased opinion about City Dog Man from Country Dog Man?
That there ain't no competition. That the South, that's that the all the famous dogs and the best dog men are from the South, which me personally speaking, I've done it both ways. And I feel like the competition down south was harder, but that ain't to take nothing away from New York had some of the best dog men, dogs in history. You got a New York legend that doesn't get nowhere near the credit he deserves. Dirty Steve. You had Yankee Boys. You had Winchester Kennels, Raging Bull, the guy that had Big Red. Big Red in his hands produced really, really well. So in a sense, like you got to give the dog man from in the city actually, in a sense, more credit because they working twice as hard and they still able to, have great success and great dogs. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that I don't know. I might catch slack for this, but I gotta say, like in my opinion, I think from what I've seen over the years, the best dogs were in the southern states as far as competition. I had a harder time. Well, I I I had a harder time down south, but at the same time, when I moved down south is when I was really able to take off because of that's when I was able to have more and spend more time with my mentor, because I was closer. When I was living in New York, I was dealing with him, but I wasn't able to deal with him like when I moved down south, I was at his house every weekend.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
But I think a lot of Southern dog men feel like they got the crown. As far as
Oh
I
yeah,
can't just say like New York. I could say like North versus South. When you say like New York, New Jersey,
yeah,
uh, Michigan, and I gotta disagree with. I think both North and South had some some really great, and both of them had a great impact on the game. STP, I believe, yeah, they were from Jersey, and they had a everybody know about STP,
yeah, yeah. That's why I wanted to
but I
ask.
don't think they was in the city though. I don't think they was in the city. In my opinion, one of the I know Yankee boys are probably uh I know Greg has passed on, Yankee Greg, so RIP to him. He was, very well known dog man. But in my opinion, one of the uh there's some guys I won't mention their name because they still around. As far as like New York, it's not that they don't deserve the credit. It's just they might not want their name mentioned.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
But as far as Dirty Steve, he's passed on, unfortunately. And to me, I feel like as far as when you're talking about a New York dog man that kept a bunch of dogs, like a lot of his dogs, as he had problems, as he got older with his neighbors and stuff, he had to keep them inside in crates and stuff. And
mm,
he still did his thing. So he's an example of a guy that really competed on a high level, had great success, and yet kept his dogs in rotation, like not on chain setups, whatever. But you know, and yeah, Dirty Steve, R.I.P. to him, man. He was the real deal. He was a good friend too.
yeah, yeah. Now, on another note, let me ask you this question. We always say everybody take care of their dogs different. Just on your opinion, how do you feel about, because not just one set of brothers do this. I've heard of multiple people different times that follow this same feed regimen, with folk only feeding 3 to 4 times a week, 4 days a week rather.
Well, my opinion, I think I feed every day. I just, if it's a puppy, I feed them. I'll, if it's a puppy, like from when they come off the mother, I feed them 4 times a day. From, let's say, like at 4 weeks old, and then when they get 6 weeks old, I feed them 3 times, and then when they and I'll feed them 3 times a day until they get from 8 weeks to about 12 weeks. But a lot of times, the litters that I had by myself, or especially with my partner, when all or nothing, by the time they were 12 weeks, they had to be separated. So by the time they were 12 weeks, we cut it down to twice a day, and then from 6 months to adulthood, once a day. That's how I feed. But not saying the other way is wrong.
Nah, I
I
feed
guess
just
it's
like
just a
you
matter of
feed.
what a
Yeah, I feed just like you feed. Puppy wise, from 4 times a day. The older they get, the 3 times. 2 times. But I'm like on the day-to-day basis myself. But I had to throw that question out there because, and I know you was gonna
you
say
you
every
cut out.
day. No, because of the simple fact of,
You cut out, bro. You cut out.
you can't hear me.
Now I hear you, yeah, but you cut out.
Oh, okay. I was saying, the reason I threw that question out there was, I knew you was gonna say you feed every day because I know the type of dog man you is. But we always say that these dogs, and I keep bringing up these examples to show you or show anybody that's listening that dogs get in different people's hands, and they get different qualities. The brother that's
Yeah.
feeding your dog, you feeding your dog every day, and then you end up letting somebody get them that's feeding them 3 or 4 times a week. He ain't gonna be the same quality of dog.
Well, that's not for me to say. I can only speak on, well, I say whatever works best for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Not you per se, but generally speaking.
yeah, yeah,
But that's how I would do it. And if somebody was to say, want my opinion, that's how I say how this is how you do it. But as far as, different dogs in different people's hands, you're 1,000,000% correct. Because me and you spoke briefly on a dog that I had off of my champion Merc, Clarence. And Clarence was a phenomenal dog. I mean, an absolute beast, a great dog in all aspects. And when he switched hands, these people, again, not gonna say no names, but these people they have made an offer to me for Clarence that was way too much to turn down. And Clarence had 4 chain accidents during the 8 week heat, and
yeah,
instead of them paying the forfeit, they went ahead and do it anyway. Well, I mean, and of course, some people say, on Clarence laws, that he's a cur and this and that and whatever, but you can't judge a dog if he had 4 chain accidents in 8 weeks. You can't judge him right. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So like you could put a great dog in someone's hands and it could fuck it up for sure. Like, you know what I mean? They're not even like think of it like with a car. Like if your car leaking oil, you got to find out where the oil leak coming from. Because if you keep running with no oil, you ain't gonna have no motor.
mm-hmm,
You
hundred
got to
percent
figure
right.
out what the problem is and attack the problem and fix the problem instead of just saying fuck it, I'm gonna go through with it and
Yeah,
think that you're gonna get the same results.
mm-hmm,
Like everything in life, the more you put in, the more you get out.
yeah. Now, have you ever have an old school remedy? Not like the more up to date medicines or the medicines. An old school remedy, has any of that ever worked and helped any of your dogs throughout your days?
Well, growing up in Brooklyn, like um I didn't know nothing like what I learned later on in life. So like I said, like as far as with I do remember one time a dog had runny stool and I put I mixed cornstarch with the dog feed, and
Mm-hmm.
that helped out a lot. Or I heard or rice. That I guess yeah, those two things. But back then, man, if a dog was to like uh get it, like even if a dog cut his foot, like I said, walking on if you walking, especially if you're walking at night, you might step on glass, or dog might step on a needle, or man, you had to deal with so many things, man. You might you might just so many different obstacles you had to deal with, stray dogs, or if you got your dog in a keep, what would suck is like that back then. All right, so like if some every pit bulls were so popular in the hood that everybody had them, and it might be someone that had one walk without a leash,
Yeah.
and then just run up to your dog, and now it's on, whether you want it to be or not, it's on, and now that fuck up your keep. You know what I mean? Or
Mm-hmm.
if some you may be even as a kid, like 12, 13 years old, you be walking your dog, could be an older guy, in his 20s, ask you questions about your dog, and he got a pit, he gonna turn his dog loose on yours.
Yeah.
Whether you want the dog to fight, you know what I'm saying? Even if you ain't into that. There was so many obstacles to deal with, or like or like you might is there so many different things to that you had to deal with back then. I don't think like in the South, like especially in the country. I shouldn't say like the South because there are like cities in the South, but like in the country type living,
Yeah.
you don't got to deal with a lot of that stuff that you deal with in the city. You got to
Yeah.
deal with neighbors that's close to you, and then you got to deal with, uh, you might deal with problems that your homeboy might have had beef, and you don't even know it, and then now them people see you, and a lot of that has to do with how the dog became kind of like your protector. Back
Yeah.
then, the dogs was a lot. Like it wasn't just do your thing with a dog. It was also like they was protect you from different things. It was like an all around dog and
Yeah.
obedient. Like one dude, um, shout out to Hurt, man. He had this dog named Legend, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that dog did his thing with other dogs, right? But he could walk this dog without a leash. Like, he could run him alongside a bike, and he could see another dog and not bother it. But if he went into a setting where he wanted to see the dog get down, take the harness off, boom, and let him do his thing. So it's
Yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. And then you look at it like some of these guys that had those dogs, like who knows where they would have been if they wasn't in the hood. They might have been like a famous dog trainer like Caesar Milan or something. Kind of go back to, I'm sure every hood has them stories of a guy that could have been a great basketball player or a great rapper, but they fall victim to what the inner cities do to a lot of us.
Yeah. Right about that, brother. Now, when it comes to breeding, let me ask you this: do you think a dog can be an ace, or a dog can be the baddest dog, but do you think breeding changes that dog? Do you take something away from the dog? Because a lot of people think once you start breeding them, the dog goes through a change. Well, brother will say anything that breed goes through a change, and know if that's the case. But does your dog become weaker? Does your dog, or is your dog still the same dog? Before you breed them,
Are you talking about a male or a female?
male,
I'm guessing you're
male,
talking about a male.
yeah, male wise,
Yeah. I never liked to practice that because I didn't want to take that chance. Like a lot of people do feel like once a dog tastes, like breeding,
yeah,
like once he kind of could bring down the aggression, and it kind of, well, he might want to hunt instead of fighting, but it kind of depends on the animal, because it really depends on the animal and the
yeah,
individual. But I never wanted to take that chance because there's so much at stake. So I always waited till I was done.
yeah. That's why I was going.
But some it doesn't affect. I know some. has that lasting. Like it's some once you, I guess, is a downside to it is because once they have that mindset, it's hard to break it.
Yeah.
Because the not the original Merc, but Champion Merc, he was a motherfucker to breed for a long time. Like one time, I used to have to duct tape him. It was hard to get him to breed. And when he was actually knotted up with a female, I'm thinking everything is good. So I take the duct tape off his mouth, and I got she in the stand. I got him on the leash, but I'm as soon as he come undone, I guess the leash had too much slack. He fucking killed the bitch because he fucking went over there and fucking went right in her fucking kidneys, hit her
Mm.
in the stomach and shit.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's some of them is, but then sometimes like I said, man, it depends on the individual.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't recommend it, and I'm not promoting anything illegal.
Yeah,
I'm
of
just
course.
saying
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend breeding a male and then putting them in an event, a legal event, just to be clear, a legal event, and there's dogs around him because you want him to concentrate on what he's performing on.
Yeah.
Whereas once some males, when you breed them, they do kind of get thrown off, like with humans. Like once you get a taste of that, you love it so much, you never stop chasing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so
You
that's
know
why I
what I'm
was going.
saying?
That was
You
my next question. I was going to ask you basically, do you think people waited their career out to keep that performance there, or they waited their career out to make sure that dog was worth breeding to?
Well, I guess that depends on the individual.
Yeah.
Again, without naming names, there's a lot of people that would breed a dog just for his who that particular dog's father is, or
Yeah.
like what the pedigree say. There's some people that
Yeah.
there's some people that's in it just for the money, and there's some people that have integrity that will only breed quality because they care about their name and they care about what the person is breeding to. And then you got some people that breed to this because, oh, look at the pet.
Yeah.
Me personally, the dog make the pet don't make the dog.
Yeah.
I never, I like the pedigree is important, but only if the dog in the pit is worth breeding. Like you could have whatever bloodline you like. It's
Mm-hmm.
Red Boy, if it's Jeep, if it's Frisco, if it's Bolio, and it could be tight, tight, like 75, 80% of that. But if the first three generations is trash, what does it matter how it's bred?
Yeah.
Opposed to a dog that I think what make a good pedigree is good dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I feel. You know what I mean? Like say like my mentor, Mike Wilder, like his thing was Jeep Red Boy Rascal. But he had his own dogs for like 40 years. So like the basis of it, like everybody, the foundation is Red Boy and Jeep and Little Rascal. But once you breed your own dogs, it becomes your shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Dirty Steve would also the Jeep Red Boy Rascal, but he would put some Jocko in there. And that's the foundation if you go back far enough.
Mm-hmm.
But he would breed his own stuff so it would become Dirty Steve dogs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I, to each his own, man. Like the dog only has to satisfy the person that's taking care of it. Like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
it's really just a matter of opinion. Like me personally, no matter what you breeding, if it's a performance based dog, it
Yeah.
don't matter if it's a pit bull, a shepherd, a cane corso, but performance based.
Mm-hmm.
It should every dog in that pedigree should perform for whatever you breeding it for. Like if you breeding it for weight pull, then dogs should be able to pull weight, every one. Otherwise, there's no
Mm-hmm.
point in breeding it. If you want weight pulling dogs, if
Yeah.
you want hog hunting dogs, and the dog don't catch a hog, what's the point of breeding that dog? Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to breed German shepherds that just look nice and run around the show ring, that's one thing. But if you want a German shepherd that's gonna work
Yeah.
and guard your property or your family, what's the point of breeding a German Shepherd if somebody come in the house, he just bark, but then, tuck his tail and run away? Well, what's the purpose of that?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. But like again, bro, like yo, it's not for me to judge, man. Hey, with whoever's all I gotta do is satisfy the person that's feeding them. There's some people that think bullies are useless, but then there's some people that swear by it. Like
Yeah.
whatever makes the person happy. Life is short,
Mm-hmm.
man. Live your life. God bless. Yo, if you happy with it, I ain't nobody to judge. I'm just my opinion. I never have and never would practice breeding something just for pedigree alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely understand that, man.
But a lot of people do it because anytime there's money involved, you already know there's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
corruption and lies anytime there's money involved.
Yeah. Hey, you right about that, man. What's some more things when it come back to the city dog and the country dog that we ain't really touch on too much yet.
Oh, so when it comes to conditioning, right? So like you got a lot more options. Like if you live in the country, like well, a cat mill, you need a lot of room regardless, even if you're in the country.
Yeah.
Not everybody has a room for that. So maybe I shouldn't use that as an example, but say I already spoke on with walking the dog, you don't have to worry so much as far as living in the country type living. You don't have to worry so much as far as running into other people with a dog as much as you would in the city. And it's more secluded, so you don't have to worry so much as running into police fucking with you or just running into like different various like problems that all the like uh and crossing busy streets. And you don't have to you don't have to worry about that. Whereas in the city, you got to worry about a whole lot of things, man. Where in the country, you don't have to sneak in and out as much. You know what I mean? Like in the city, like your neighbors, you gotta,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very difficult in the city. You gotta get very creative with how you house them, where you house them, uh, especially if a lot of it depends on where you at also in the city. Like if you live in the projects, that's one thing. If you live in a house, I rented my man. Everybody think he a dog, man, because he my friend since like we kids, but he just a street dude. But he was with me all the time, so everybody assume he's a dog, man, and he never had a dog in his life. But he had rented a spot. I don't know if you've been to Brooklyn, right? So I don't know if you know about Brownsville.
Yeah. I've been to Brooklyn. I ain't been to Brownsville though.
Yeah, you ain't missing nothing. Brownsville is horrible, but I rented he had rented a spot in Brownsville, and he talked to his landlord, and the landlord let me rent a basement. We cleaned out the basement and stuff, and I kind of set up that basement to almost like a yard, because like they got these things like if you get like a drill bit that could drill through concrete,
Mm-hmm.
and you put this, I don't know what it's called, but you tap it in the hole that you made with the drill bit,
Yeah.
and then you get like a kind of like a the eye hook, and when you twist it, it got these teeth that catch what you're screwing in. And you attach the chain to that, so it's like they're like kind of chained to the wall. So it's almost like a yard setup, but like in the basement. But I guess another con to that is they don't get as much sunlight. Whereas down south, like the dogs are outside, they're exposed to more sunlight, more through the day, which sunlight is good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right about that. Now you're gonna get a lot more exercise. In some instances, you get a lot more exercise.
Yeah, yeah. I think as time evolved though, I think overall, I think I want to like back in the day compared to like I'd say in the last 10 years, maybe 15 years, I think there's been more concentration on pedigrees. Because like when I was coming up, like everybody seen the Stratton books and kind of knew, but there wasn't like everybody wanted a dog to be registered and have a good bred dog, but it was less concentration on the pedigree and more concentration on what kind of dog it was.
Yeah.
To whereas like the closer you get into, I want to say 10, I say 15 years, there was a lot more concentration on pedigree over the individual dog. I think a lot of that got to do with selling them. But again, that's just my opinion.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a lot more pedigree based now compared to, like you said, back then it was about a dog.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about like before computers or like when like there were computers, but it wasn't as accessible as it is now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
couldn't just, you couldn't just get on a, there was no Peds Online. What I'm talking about, you know what I mean? The
Mm-hmm.
journal was around, but I'm talking about the journal when Jack Kelly had it, where you had to be, in order to get the journal, you had to be recommended by a well-known dog man in order to get the journal.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that, I think that's something that changed too. But it's hard for me to say if that's a thing from the city and the South because I didn't move down south till I was, already in my 30s. So it's hard for me to really say if that's a southern thing or a city thing. But I
Yeah.
know I've seen a lot of good dogs growing up in Brooklyn that looking back at it, then even these guys probably had no idea what they had. And had I had the knowledge then that I have now, maybe they would have been in the journal or been on the cover of the journal,
Yeah.
knowing now, like, well, like the supplements and
Mm-hmm.
the proper way to keep them. And I say what another thing I just thought about was be a pro as far as a dog's feet. A dog that's raised on running on dirt. When you start walking them, you really got to use well, I use that tough pad. Like I'm sure a lot of people use that. So they pads, but a
Yeah.
dog that's raised in the city, you don't really have to worry about that because they raised walk. They pads just automatically grow like some almost like a callus, or they're so used
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
They don't get long nails, or they pads are already accustomed to it,
Yep. And a lot of people don't realize how much walking on concrete helps just off the fact that you say like the nails just now. Help keep the nails a little shorter. Because if you staying on that dirt, you're gonna have, like you said, you're gonna have soft pads and you're gonna have super long toenails.
Yeah,
And the moment
yeah,
you go out
yeah.
there walking on the concrete for a good 30 minutes, you're gonna come back home and you're gonna have blisters on your feet.
Yeah, and that brings the blood count down. I learned that the hard way. That even like a a broken toenail will bring the blood count down. But in New York, like they're so used to it. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
they walking on the concrete. But I think, like I said too, like health wise, I I feel like it's you got to be way more on top of a dog in the country setting as far as like you should always keep your dog up to date with, vaccinations and worming, of course. But
Yeah.
down south is like there's so much more shit to worry about as far as like cock coccidia. I ain't even know about that shit till I moved down south. I never had that problem,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. I'm
you got to
quite
deal
sure
with
it's gonna be
that.
a lot more viruses and stuff you gotta worry about in them southern states. Further you
Well,
start
in New
going
York,
down south.
we had a lot of rats that and they carry diseases, but I guess unless the dog don't eat the rat, you know what I mean. But sometimes you gotta worry about that. The dog, even if the dog killed a rat,
Yeah.
like it'll get could get ingest like poison and stuff.
But like mosquitoes wise. stuff like that. You know, the worms and stuff travel and different things travel, and you got more animals in the woods that's carrying stuff.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. You're right.
more like just homeless animals and stuff that roaming, or
Yeah.
cats.
Yeah.
I know y'all got cats and stuff, and plenty of cats up north.
Oh
But
yeah.
like,
They say that heartworm come from mosquitoes,
yeah,
and I went when I went to Louisiana one time. Like, man, ooh, Lord, you don't even want to go outside at night. Them mosquitoes damn near the size of a damn fucking. They're like big enough to carry a dog away. The mosquitoes is horrible in certain parts of Louisiana.
that's how it is. That's how it is, probably, man, throughout the whole South. Back in the days, they used to have in my area. They used to have trucks that come through and spray. Just spray throughout the neighborhoods. They don't even do that no more though. And it's pretty
Damn.
much like that in the whole South, man. Somewhere or another, you got that land, you got that water.
Yeah, the water, the standing water attracts mosquitoes too. Yeah, but like I said, in New York, you still gonna have to. You're gonna have like flies and certain shit, but you're not gonna have it as much. Even like because like you said, it could be like a dead animal, like a coyote could. We don't got no coyotes in the city. You know what I mean? So it's like a coyote could kill a deer, and then whatever's left gonna be a bunch of flies around that, and then the flies could go from
Mm-hmm.
that, land on the dog or in the dog's food, or you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, or like
Yeah.
bird fly over, shit in their water. There's like it's different challenges that I say that a dog man in the city wouldn't have to deal with, opposed to a dog man in the country would have to deal with. But I say, and I feel like the competition was, maybe the competition was stiffer because the circles I was running in when I moved down south, like the guys that I mean, aside from Dirty Steve, me and him were friends, but aside from Dirty Steve's, the very well known dog man, there's some names I said, some names I didn't, even though I was around and I might witnessed it, I didn't have the money or even a dog that I was confident enough to play in that circle.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of it. That when I moved down south, the circle I was running in was some of the top competition.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I feel that way. But it ain't to take nothing away from especially like in my era. Like I said, Raging Bull had Big Red, and Big Red produced a lot of good dogs. Dirty Steve, the Yankee Boys. I'm sure you heard of Yankee Boys.
Oh yeah.
Everybody
Oh
heard of
yeah.
them. Uh, so like I don't. It's hard to. Maybe that got something to do with it. And as the early 2000s went on, I started seeing a lot of people in the city had a lot Mayday dogs. Not Mayday himself, of course, but like sons, and I never saw any females off of Mayday perform, but I seen a lot of sons and grandsons off of Mayday go. For
Mm.
some reason, they were gaining a lot of popularity in the boroughs.
Yeah.
I think, Haunch, he was in the Bronx, I believe, Grand Champion Haunch.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine, and he was friends with a guy that, so that's how I wound up with him for a little while. He was Big Apple's Big Buck. He was a he was like 75 pounds on the chain. He
Mm.
was Mayday was his father, and it was a daughter, and it was handicapped to. It was a daughter handicap. I'm trying to remember what handicap was bred to get the mother, but anyway, it was a daughter handicap to Mayday. I had him. He was a game dog, but he wasn't nothing like what they say his father Mayday was. I mean, of course, I never seen Mayday, but from what they say about Mayday
Yeah.
and Big Buck wasn't Mayday. He was game, but that's about it. But they started gaining a lot of popularity. I think Mayday was more popular in the North than he was in the South. What you think?
No, I'm not sure, man. I just know he was popular down here, but I can't say he was more popular than the North. Far as because the brothers that was dealing actually had them dogs was back and forth in them
In
same
Florida,
areas.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
Florida,
yeah.
brothers was different places, man. So, I know they love them down south. Um, and me myself, like I said, I wasn't real big on them back in the days. I had a few of them, but I liked the maybe offspring that I seen, grandsons, but just the ones that I came across, I couldn't make them shake the way I wanted to, and I don't mean like actually literally
Yeah,
shaking.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I just
yeah, yeah.
couldn't get
I
them,
got you.
to get tuned in to what I was
The
trying to do.
the one that stick out in my mind would be I don't know exactly how he bred, but for the Mayday fans, forgive me if I got it wrong, but I want to say the dog's name was Clyde. And I'm not sure if Clyde was a son of Mayday or grandson of Mayday. But anyway, my homeboy had a son of Clyde, and I seen him go twice. He was very impressive. And he wasn't that big, like for a Mayday dog. He was in his I want to say like it was like 43 or 44, somewhere in there. And he was a nice dog. Oh, I do remember that dog, Big Buck. I did keep a son of his, and I did fight work with him. He was a great dog. But I didn't really like use him for the game shit.
Yeah,
He was more like my personal dog. I did like personal protection with him, and I bred him one time, and he produced a female that went 4.5 hours.
man. I tell you what though,
So
if they was doing the rum list, was actually legitimate in today's time, I don't see why Mayday wouldn't be in the top five anyway, just because of all the breedings he made, and he have made great dogs, and them dogs made other great dogs, and his ratio might not be up to par with some brothers might be like he bred 1,000 times, and he got this amount of champions or grands and different things, but I ain't gonna lie, man. He bred, he got more influence in the dog game than a lot of them old school ones that's higher than him on the rum list right now.
I agree with that. But my only knock on that would be that, like, percentage wise, you know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah,
you take like Frisco and Mayday versus, I don't know, say like Jeep. Jeep wasn't bred as much, and like I like dogs that make the ROM list without being bred as much,
yeah.
if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
You know
oh
what I'm
yeah,
saying? But it's not to say that he wouldn't produce that way even if he wasn't bred as much. The same thing, like I myself, I would if I had a choice of taking a Mayday dog or a Frisco dog, and this is no disrespect, nobody who like Frisco dogs and running them, but I would prefer a Mayday dog over a Frisco dog because I actually seen a whole lot of Frisco dogs, and they were very consistent with extremely hard mouth, but very inconsistent with gameness. Where as far as the Mayday stuff, from what I saw,
yeah,
the percentages were low, but when I saw a good one, it was the total package. It had ability, they were game, they had mouth, they had everything. So like I would prefer, like if I had a choice, and I just used Mayday and Frisco as because they were two dogs on the ROM list that were bred a fuckload of times.
yeah, yeah,
Not
man.
that Jeep wasn't bred a lot, but shit, fucking Frisco and Mayday. I don't know if there's a dog bred more than Frisco. I probably Mayday a runner up for that, no?
Yeah. Them gonna be the
As far as the amount of times being bred.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I ain't seen too
But
many up there that had no pages of breedings like they had.
but that could be because of the, promotion. Like there's
Yeah.
some people that,
Mm-hmm.
especially back then, like that really didn't even want the public to get they, you know what I mean? People that were really active didn't want them to get their stuff. Most of the times when All or Nothing was together and rocking, we did breedings. We would just, like my partner would take some, I'd keep some. I might send some to Mike, and that was, we really didn't do it for the money.
Yeah.
We did it to get more of what we always want to do better. And to me, that's what I feel make a good producer. And I can't really, I guess it's not fair to put Frisco in this because he never, I'm not, nobody knows of his winning. So it's like with Mayday, did he produce better than himself? That would be to me, that's what makes a good producer. Something that produces better than them.
Yeah,
Do you agree with that?
I think maybe they have produced dogs better than him. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Barracuda, you
just in
think
my
is better?
me myself, I would think Barracuda could be on the borderline of being better than him. That's just my opinion. And it's an argument that you're gonna have brothers that say he is and brothers that say no way he ain't. You know, um, it just you got to look at it and don't be biased about the situation, but look at him head to head, head to head. You know, did Barracuda do
So
what he
let
was
me,
supposed to do? Barracuda got way more shows than what Mayday got.
well,
Some people say he was a backyard champion and he only got so many in the ring shows, but he don't got no records of losing.
so, so I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So what makes them better? The amount of times they won or the competition they went into? Because if you don't see it for yourself, like I could speak on dogs off of my champion Merc to say
Yeah.
if they were better or not because I seen it. But if you ain't seen it, if you just going off of what people write or whatever, do you think that say Barracuda was he better than Mayday because he won more or because of who he went into?
Mm, I ain't gonna say it's because of who he went into because I'm not no I don't know all the Mayday competition and I don't know all the Barracudas on what he went into, but I know as far as what we have on record and what we maybe read about in the stories and stuff. One, I'm like I said, this is not saying he is better than Mayday, but this is saying Mayday is doing his job and producing a dog that
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
can have a conversation about. Is he better? All right. Now
Right, that's
he
true.
got, as we know, he got more recorded shows. Barracuda does, you know, um, and he went into some good dog men throughout, all the shows that he did. Some people may say his competition was harder than Mayday's competition, you know, but
Well, he was a smaller dog, wasn't he, than Mayday?
I think Mayday was a smaller dog than Barracuda.
Really? I thought Barracuda was smaller because I was gonna say if Barracuda was smaller, then I would believe that his competition was probably better. I know I like if I had a choice of breeding, some people would rather breed to Mayday than Barracuda, but I'd rather breed to Barracuda because of Barracuda's bottom side,
Then you got
being
Luke
that
Kane out
my,
there. How about Luke Kane? You know,
yeah.
um,
Now I did hear good things about Luke Kane, and I also heard bad things about Luke Kane.
yeah,
But the person that told me good things about Luke Kane, I believe them more because they know more. Like they have most likely because of their reputation and who they are and the dogs, they're probably going to get a better insight than the person who said bad things. So I'm going to go with,
yeah,
from what I've heard, Luke Kane is one of Mayday's better. I'm not gonna, of course, not gonna say the best because I don't know, but I would say that he's one of Mayday's better sons. But
yeah.
I like Barracuda's bottom. Being that his mother was a daughter of Deadlift, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So, but either way, you know what I mean. Like to each his own. Like I said, I mean, there's certain people that you can't tell them shit about Mayday, and there's certain people you can't tell them shit about Frisco. And certain, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like I said,
Yeah,
it's all a preference.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it really depends on. what the individual like.
Yeah, that's 100% correct with that one. I'm rolling with you with that one.
And I know that I'm not gonna say the person's name, but there was a person that and I got this story from a person that knew this person very well, like stayed at his house and stuff. And he had a dog that was a grand champion, but it's not Mayday. This is it's so we'll just get that out the way. It's not this dog. The grand champion has nothing to do with Mayday.
Yeah,
But this grand champion was hot at the time, and there would be offspring off of that grand champion that would quit, and the guy would sell the curs anyway. Like he would see them quit, but he would sell them anyway, and he would he would pretty much say like these people don't know no better, no way.
yeah,
So it's like they're just gonna roll them for 15, 20 minutes anyway. They're like that kind of goes back to like, and I use that as an example because if you don't if you're not good with the person that you dealing with,
yeah.
very likely you get fucked over.
Mm-hmm.
That's why reputations are good, but if you really, if you could, not everybody's reputation. It's hard to, explain it, but reputations of, relationships are very important with getting what you're supposed to get.
Mm-hmm.
Because if not, it's a good chance you could get fucked over. But that ain't a knock on any individual that's breeding and selling dogs now for legal activities. I'm
Yeah,
not saying anybody doing anything illegal. These days, nobody is or should be. So just saying for the people that are selling puppies, whatever, whether it's YouTube or the internet, that's not a knock on any individual.
yeah, yeah. Now, before we get up out of here, man, what's one tip to give the brothers and sisters out there when it comes to we starting the summer up and how to be prepared for the summer that's coming ahead when it comes to these
Well,
dogs?
if you're gonna keep them outside, make sure that they have good shade. Clean the water as much as you can in the hot weather, because bugs are gonna get in, birds might shit in it. Uh, I would actually put like a little cap of bleach in the water. That and I would say like make sure like you keep everything clean, like around it, clean as much as you can and clean that water. Like not just dump it and put water back in. Whatever kind of bowl you using for the water, clean it as good as you can, as often as you can. That'll help out a lot and keep them wormed and show that dog love, man. Like let the dog know that you happy that it's there. You'll get a lot more out the dog if you treat it right than if you treat it like shit.
Mm-hmm. Right about that, bro. Right about that, man. Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you rocking with me today, man. It's your
Yeah, I
boy
appreciate the good
PBK9s.
dog talk.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
could I?
Go ahead.
I just want to say real quick, man. I give a shout out to the professor, man, aka Hellcat, and also to all the dog men, man, that was from back in the day that ain't with us no more. That if they was here, I know they would really enjoy this. R.I.P. to my great friend Dirty Steve. R.I.P. to T Bone. And R.I.P. to Fat Sam. Y'all from Flatbush, y'all all remember Fat Sam. We used to always go to his spot. So those are the fallen. I'm sure they resting in a better place now. But I just wanted to say R.I.P. to them.
Yes, sir.
If they was here, they would definitely be, rocking with you and enjoying all this dog talk that we be giving them, that you be giving them.
Shit, I can't do it without you, man. Can't do it without
No,
you.
I appreciate it, man. I really enjoy talking this dog talk, man. I really do enjoy it. So thank you, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate all the brothers and sisters that be listening. That may get something off this part of the conversation, may get something from that part of the conversation. or just enjoy the conversation as a whole, man. Appreciate everybody. Y'all hit that like button up out there. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. You know, um, follow the brother All or Nothing Kennels on all platforms where you see him at. You know, and just support the brothers and sisters out here doing positive with these dogs, man. Stop making it so hard um, for brothers that's trying to do the right thing with the dog. The
Yeah,
you know,
amen to that.
so man, yes sir, man. I appreciate you dropping in. Um, y'all stay safe out there. Y'all stay legal out there, and we out.